Hi everyone and welcome to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I've teamed up with some of my YouTube friends for a Wilton Mold collaboration. Each one of us will show you how to use the various Wilton molds available, so stay tuned to the end of my video where I'll leave a link to all the other fantastic tutorials. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Wilton Jungle Mold to make this cute little cake. So let's get started. So I have here the mold itself as well as a small cake that I've already covered in some blue and white marbled fondant. Now when you use these molds you really don't need a lot of fondant, and this little ball of fondant only weighs 11 grams and we're going to see just how far it can stretch. Now this mold has a few jungle animals on it and I'm going to start with the giraffe. So I need to take a small amount of the fondant and then push it nicely into the mold. Then I'm going to roll over the fondant, pressing firmly down one end of the giraffe and then the other end. You don't want to roll back and forth over the fondant with the rolling pin because sometimes this can lift up the fondant straight out of the mold. Now using a clean palette knife, I'm going to start halfway down the giraffe and scrape off the excess. I'm using the top surface of the mold as my guide to glide the palette knife across. Then I can do the other end. I find it better to do long or larger molds in sections, always starting at the middle to once again avoid the fondant lifting directly out of the mold. Before popping the fondant out, I always like to just smooth it out with my fingers, and then you can turn it over and you can see how bendy and flexible the mold is, and the giraffe simply pops out. Here I've made a few giraffes and I'm going to wire a couple of them so that they can stand up on the cake. All I need to do is brush some water on the top of one of the giraffes, place a length of wire on top, and then place another giraffe over the top. Once I've smoothed all the edges together and made sure it's sticking nicely, I'm going to leave it aside to dry and harden a little before I need it a little bit later on. To make a lion, I'm going to just follow the same procedure as I did for the giraffe, as well as for the monkey. If you find that your fondant is a bit too sticky to come out of the mold, and sometimes this can easily happen if you've added a little extra food colouring because it becomes quite moist, it's best to either let the fondant sit out on the bench and dry a little bit or dust some corn flour onto the mold. I prefer to let the fondant sit for a while because when using a mold like this with very fine detail, too much corn flour can cause lumps in the finished product. The monkey has a little extra detail you can add for his nose with some lighter brown fondant by pressing a small piece into the mold, trimming off the excess around the nose and sticking it onto the face with a little bit of water. Likewise, I can create the mane for the lion as well as his nose with some contrasting orange fondant in the same way. Now here I have some grass which I've made with the mold, and I've actually mixed two shades of green to get a nice little shading effect in the grass, and I'm simply going to wire some of these grass pieces so that I can stand them upright on the cake as well. Using these edible markers, I'm going to add the details to the animals, and this is easier to do if you've left your fondant pieces out a little while to dry. Now with all of my little animals ready, I can start decorating the cake in any way I like. So I'm just going to create a little jungle scene and use as many of the molds that I've made as I can. And here's the finished cake, and as you saw, with very little effort I've been able to create an interestingly decorated cake. Using a mold like this is great when you don't have a lot of time or if you're not that experienced in making fondant figurines. The The molds provide exact and easily recognisable shapes and are quite easy to use, and you end up with a beautiful cake that looks like it was much harder to make than it actually was. Guys, if you enjoyed my tutorial, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and as promised I have on screen a link which will take you to all the other videos in this collaboration. Be sure to check out all of the other molds that were used and make sure you leave them a comment and let them know I sent you. I hope you all tune in next time, and as always, thanks for watching.